Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Barry Erickson and I'm Community Engagement Coordinator at Wheaton Public Library. Tonight, we are delighted to provide this Create Along program, Handcrafted Books. We join Bonnie Jaswith of the Book and Paper Arts Guild for a display of artist-made books, followed by instructions to make your own simple accordion folded book. Bonnie began her career as a high school teacher. She obtained a degree and license as an interior designer and practiced in that field for 31 years. Bonnie's love of the arts led to her to try many different media and techniques, focusing on paper and books. She found the Book and Paper Arts Guild a versatile, creative group in which artists freely share their talents. Tonight, I will show several pre-recorded videos where Bonnie discusses and displays the inner workings of a variety of artist-made books. Later, we will have an opportunity to follow along with her demonstration to make our own book. Bonnie is here to answer questions and provide additional comments. Is there anything that you would like to say before I start the first video, Bonnie?
No, I hope you enjoy seeing the books and learning about them.
Okay, all right, let me go ahead and start the first video.
I'm Bonnie Jaswith, and I make books. And I would like to show you some of the books that I make. There are lots of different kinds of books, and we'll have an opportunity to do a book for you to make a book at the end of the program.
No updates.
You will need an 8.5 by 11
updates.
sheet of paper, a pair of scissors, and that's about it. A spoon, you'll need a tablespoon. So all of those three things, and at some point during the meeting, you can go and get them. I'd like to show you some of the different kinds of books that are made. An accordion book is one of the most common kinds of books. And it's an accordion because it works like the bellows of an accordion. This is a piece of newspaper, and this is an accordion book. On the back side, or however you fold it, you can have a pocket, so that these are pockets. Very simple book. I'll show you some of the other accordion books that we have. Very small accordion. And it's an accordion because it resembles the bellows of an accordion, if you know that musical instrument. Again, an accordion, whoops, we don't want to do that. An accordion book that has a cover. It's a piece of paper that comes out, has pockets. A piece of paper has been folded up to create a pocket, and it has a cover on it. Similar. And glued against a spine at the back. Pocket. When you have a piece of paper, this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper that was folded at the center so that we could do a long strip. Again, more pockets with pieces of writing in it. It also has a back on it. Some of your other accordion books, bigger. And it is not glued or taped or fastened to the cover. It comes out so that it will stretch as far as you want, and then you come in there. Notice that this is a black piece of paper and it has black writing on it, or black marks on it, made with different kinds of inks. So it's black on black very interesting kinds of pieces. Another accordion book. This is stitched, and the pieces of paper inside are stitched. Long and short. This is a skinny book, as you can see. And it is a skinny book that has all kinds of things on it. And is skinny thin is the same as skinny? Is it narrow? Things that are skinny, string beans. Hard to read this upside down. My dad used to call me string bean. My granddaughter is thin. I call her skinny mini. And then I use the back side. Things that are skinny, pencils and rakes, toothpick. And Rapunzel, let down your golden hair. And then there is always skinny dipping. Have fun. This is a different kind of an accordion book. Here, an accordion was used as a spine. It wasn't the same as a whole accordion book, like this. So onto that spine were other pieces of paper that were glued onto the spine. I belong to a group of mostly women now. That is the Book and Paper Guild. And we meet once a month and make books. We have a collaborative that we do every year. This is a theme that we use. We each illustrate that theme. This was a Chinese theme this year, or one of the years rather. And everyone makes enough of their own pieces so that each member gets one and we make a book out of it. Our book is the Book and Paper Arts Guild. We meet monthly. And if you would like to join, you may contact me. However, we are ending our sessions for the summer and won't get back together again until September. But if you think you'd like to see what we're all about, let me know. This is another accordion book, but it has an interest in it. Cutouts and then pieces of art design was put in on pieces of thread. An accordion book, but it was reversed so that another piece of paper was put in, and instead of going back, it was pulled forward, and then a middle piece was cut, and that was pushed back. As designed. This is a book that I made after we were on vacation, and I made it so that it is little feet on the pieces of paper showing where we have been, and it is folded into a suitcase. So that is my book holder. We'll do it this way. Chicago, place where I was born, and it is touristy, showing some of the interesting places in Chicago. And again, it has that small spine at the top, or between the covers, and pages attached to that. This is a tribute to my mother, and it is a poem, but I put it on stilts and illustrated it. If you stretch it out and are close enough, there is a light writing behind it that says remember. So this is for Mom and one for Dad. Again, an accordion, but the accordion wasn't attached at the very back. It was attached so that it comes in front of the back of the background. Am I explaining that right? And then I had fun with this one. Movie Kisses. If you are my age, you remember Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz in I Love Lucy. But I made all kinds of photos of movie kisses. So we have all of our movie stars with movie kisses. This was a fun one to make. Let us go on. You've seen folded books. I've shown you all kinds of folded books. They become interesting to make, they're fun to make, and they're not difficult to make.
Okay, so many beautiful accordion books and so many different kinds. I don't know if you have any additional comments that you'd like to make about those, Bonnie, or if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, you can go ahead and put those in the chat. Is there anything else you wanted to say about those, Bonnie?
No, they were just fun to make, and they're easy to make too, because of the accordion structure. You just need long pieces of paper.
Right, right. And that's exactly the structure that we'll be making for our own project.
No, that one's slightly different.
Oh, I see.
It's not an accordion book.
Okay, there's so many different kinds. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I don't see, I just see a comment about how beautiful all the books are, and they are so interesting because they vary. Each one is so different from the others. I don't see any other questions, so we will go ahead and watch the next video. And I believe this one is about sewn books, that are the bindings are sewn. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about that before I start that video?
No, those are much more complicated to put together. Many of them were parts of workshops that I attended so that I could do that. And then I tried some of them on my own.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and screen share that video.
We have books that are sewn together with different kinds of stitches. At times they are complicated because it's a complicated stitch. This is a Belgian secret binding. So is this one. I can't tell you the secret though. Again, all kinds of different types of stitches enhanced with beads. A mini book, all kinds of ribbon and beads. Part of it was, of the cover was cut out, and then the pages sewn in. The most simple kind of stitching is called a journal stitch, and it is strictly just 3 holes, and you are catching everything that is inside. So we go in and out, and in, and all the way down, and out, and in, and tie a knot. Very simple, very easy to do. The book is about being a creative and an artist. I think the most decorative kind of stitching is your oriental stitching. It is very, very decorative, and there are hundreds of ways of stitching. But compared to just your straight stitches or catching the stitch, the types of stitching is unusual and I think beautiful. Two books in a case. Again, wooden covers that have stitching through the wood. This is the workshop I took with Don Etherington. And a regular book like you would find in the library with all your folios, your signatures, and sewn to a back and then bound. Again, all of the different kinds of sections and bound. This is one of our books from our collaborative. And the book that we made, this is parchment paper. It is made from reeds. These are pieces of the reed that are dried and flattened and then put together. And it was the printing press. Parchment is made by stretching a skin of an animal, usually a sheep. And it's the fur and all of the other pieces of stuff, I'll call, are stretched, and the skin is stretched and onto that Sometimes you'll have people say, where'd you get your sheepskin? Meaning vellum, because your sheepskin makes vellum. Now the vellum you find in stationery stores today at Office Depot is not made from sheep. It is a commercial vellum. So you don't have to worry about working with sheepskin. Now some fun books.
So those were all of your sewn books. And Bonnie, I'm just wondering if you can confirm, you made all of those, is that correct?
Yes,
Wow. All
that's
right.
that's the fun part of it, is learning how to do all of that.
Right. And I some of them are so complicated and intricate. What types of books did you start with?
The accordion book. That's the most simple, and you understand that and you learn how to do that, and then you want to do more. And you'll see an artist who has done more and gives workshops, and I'm all for that. I also will teach, and I have given lessons, as you want to call it, to the Book and Paper Arts Guild. I freely give of my knowledge. I don't hold back. There's no sense in holding back. You want people to learn and to grow with you, or grow so that you can learn from them again too. So you learn from your students.
Yeah, they're lovely. How long have you been doing this?
Over 20 years.
Wow. All right. Wow. Lovely. If there aren't any other questions, we have one more segment where you're showing the different books that you've made, and these are some of the really special, unusual ones. Is there anything that you'd like to say before I screen share this video?
No, it's just that these were fun too.
Okay.
That's a good question.
All right. Yeah, does somebody have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how do you cut your pages, like the edges, so they're flushed and they're straight for the ones that you sew on the back?
Depending on the kind of paper it is, sometimes I'll use a paper cutter. Sometimes I'll just have to do it by hand, and that's by placing a ruler on the piece of paper and cutting it by tearing it.
Wow, that's amazing.
But that's what gives you that nice edge on there that is rough, especially when you use handmade paper.
Got it. That's beautiful.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I don't know if there are any other questions, so I'll go ahead and screen share the next.
Accordion books. She made a book like this. I call this a meander book, because to me an accordion book is what we saw on the tables. And so your meander book is cut, and I put a word on each of the pieces, each of the squares. And I used it as a meditation book. Loving you. Yeah. Fun? Yes. And what is this? It's a Jacob's Ladder. Other books. Again, that accordion. Again, it repeats itself over and over again. This is a flag book, and you have strips of your paper, or I use a very thin cardboard type of thing. You have one taped to the front, and then two taped to the back. One to the front, two to the back. And it becomes a flag book. This is the same idea. Just a different way of folding can give you such interesting books. This is a book that has a circle, and then all kinds of pockets that were made to fit inside. Would be a fun birthday present for someone with all of the things that you like about them, or all the fun times you had with them, all in one little place. Triangle book. And again, it has pockets where you can put things. This is a star book, so called because it looks like a star when you look at it from the top. All different layers in it. And it closes. Smaller star book. Two miniature books. This is Rapunzel, and the story of Rapunzel and her golden hair that she lets down out of the window. And a scroll book. It scrolls up and down. My husband made clocks, so I made him a book. And of course, oversized hands. This is time. And all the clock hands, clock faces. Just a clock. Clock parts. Clock numbers, and a butterfly clock. He thought it was funny, and it was meant to be that way. This is a book that has a pocket on the top, and was an extra. Let's move this. Oh boy. Just trying to show you the different kinds of things you can put into a book. And these are pop-ups. And a very special book. It's put into a box. I make boxes also. This is called In Her Lifetime. And this is the story of my grandmother, who lived from 1892 to 1989. And in her lifetime, there were so many things that were going on. Around every corner was something new. Her mode of transportation when she was born was horse and buggy or train. and it moved through trains and buses and trucks and cars, all the way to a spaceship and landing on the moon. They didn't have telephones when she was born, but they had telephones and telegraphs, and then they had television. Computers were first being introduced when she died. But she did see a computer, never had one, never used one. But all of the things that happened in her lifetime that were important are on pieces of paper. She had lived with 18 presidents, or voted for 18 presidents in her lifetime. So this is great. These are my books. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you will join us and make a book.
We'll stop the screen share there. Again, Bonnie, I think the last question was about some of the other artists that you've worked with and perhaps some of the members of the guild. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those people.
Excuse me. Hetty Kyle is probably the leader in handcrafted books. I have not taken any kind of workshops with her, but she is truly a leader. Pam Paulsrud is a member of another group that I belong to, and she makes books also, and I've taken classes with her, and she's an excellent person. Dan Essig is also a leader in making books, and I've taken workshops with him too. Shireen LaPlante has books at our library, and I would suggest her books as a starting point. They are very well written and very well illustrated, although she has one that is very advanced. So you'll do that one perhaps after you've had a little bit of experience. Our library has an excellent bibliography and collection of making books. So please investigate that. You'll have a good time. And what you've seen here, there was a question of how many books that I've made. I don't know, I've never counted them. You've seen just a collection here, but I have boxes of books, all in very protected boxes. I'll add to that. So my grandchildren and maybe my great-grandchildren will have fun going through them.
Absolutely. And someone else is asking, did you learn most of these bookmaking techniques through the Book and Paper Art Guild, or did you take different classes? How did you learn all these wonderful techniques?
Both. I started with techniques and learning how to do this at the Fine Line Creative Arts Center, which is in St. Charles. And there were two paper artists there, book artists there, who would give classes, and I took those. And then I found the Book and Paper Guild, and the collection of creative people there, I can't call them a collection, the group of creative people there are amazing. You learn so much from them, and they are so willing to give up their time and their talent. I appreciate that.
Yes, yes. And I think you mentioned in one of the videos that that group isn't meeting during the summer, but they will meet starting.
We will meet in September. We are looking for a place to meet with so many things that have closed because of the pandemic. We've been on Zoom, and it's been an amazing journey with Zoom because someone has taken over the class or the meeting for that day and taught us a new book, and that is wonderful. That's just great. So I appreciate that. But we hope to meet in person, and we're a good group too.
Of course. And so you mentioned a couple of things that we'll be sending out to everyone who's registered for the program, both your contact information if someone would like to get in touch with you about maybe sitting in on one of those meetings or joining in with that wonderful group. And also you mentioned the bibliography. You gave me a nice long list of books, many of which are available at the library, and I'll be sending that out in a list to everyone who's registered. And
That's
again,
good.
if you're watching the recording of this program, you can just email the library and ask for that list. The next part of the program, of course, is finally making our own project. And we have the video where you're demonstrating that. Bonnie, we want to give people a chance to gather up their materials, either the kit that they picked up at the library, or if they just have their materials at home. Would you just go over real quickly what they should have in front of them before we get that video started?
If they have a 9x12 piece of paper, that's good. Or if you would just have to use copy paper from your printer, an 8.5x11 sheet, quick, go run, get a piece of paper. You'll need a pair of scissors and a spoon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think there was some ribbon in the kit as well.
Yes, there's ribbon. You don't have to have ribbon, but it makes it a pretty book, if you want to call it that.
Right. Okay. Is there anything else you should tell us before I start that video?
No, join with me. I give you time to do it, I hope. And I hope my instructions are clear for you.
I think so. They're really good. So let me go ahead and screen share that, and we will get started with our project.
12 pieces of paper, and that is what I have here. If you don't have a 9x12 piece of paper, please use your copy paper. Quick, run to the printer and get your 8.5x11 piece of paper. I have a Teflon folder that I use to make my lines, my folds, crisp. That's when you're going to use a tablespoon. You're going to put your finger into it, or your thumb, and you're going to use that spoon for doing that. And you will need a pair of scissors. I have a cutter that I use, but a pair of scissors will do. If you have something like this, that's fine. I don't know if paring knives are sharp enough, but you could try it. And I also have ribbon. You don't need ribbon. None of these have ribbon, but we're going to make it fancy. So I am going to use a piece of paper. This might be a little too dark on the back side. So I am going to use a piece of paper that is white on the back side. Whoa, that is nice and orangey, isn't it? Let's use the white one. So we are going to take our paper, holding it this way, pretty side down, and you are going to fold it to the edge. So you are folding it in half. And again, use your spoon. I'm using my Teflon folder. You're going to open it up, and you are going to take the edge or end of the paper and bring it to the middle where the fold is. And you are going to crease it. Again, using your Teflon folder or your spoon, you're going to do it that way. Turn it around, and we are going to do the same thing. We're going to bring the edge to the middle. Crease it. Use your folder to make crisp folds. Now, why didn't I fold it this way and then this way? Because you get an uneven fold that way. You will get one of them larger and one of them smaller. This way they are all the same size. And that is what you need to do. You're going to open this up, turn it lengthwise in front of you. And then you are going to fold it in half again, lengthwise. And again, nice and crisp, like so. Open it up. Now, here is where it's tricky. You have 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or perhaps for you it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. You are going to cut sections 2 and 3. 1 and 4 remain whole. So again, I'm going to use a ruler, and I am going to cut my sections 2 and 3. I have them like this. You should have them like this. Am I going too fast? Perhaps. Turn it to your right side, and you are going to hold your closed sections and push. And if you didn't make your folds crisp enough, this is where you know that you should have. Like I should have. And then you are going to fold it like so. And you have your book. Let's do that again. I'm going to open this up. You folded it in half lengthwise. You've cut your sections 2 and 3. You're holding sections 1 and 4, and you're pushing them together. And you have your book. I'm going to do this on another piece of paper so that we can do it again. It's very stiff. Okay, we're going to fold it in half. Again, making it very crisp. Open it up, the end to the middle. Open, turn it around, end to the middle. Voice is giving out. And open it up. Then we're folding it lengthwise. Nice and crisp. And we're going to cut. We're cutting sections 2 and 3. Fold it, pretty side out, holding sections 1 and 4, and pushing. And you will have to work with your folds. Now for the ribbon. You have it opened so that you are in half. And you are going to make a slit at the center. might be hard to do with scissors. But then we're going to take our ribbon, fold it in half, and we're going to put a knot right at the center. The knot is going to stay at the center. The ends are going to go through the slit. This is no easy feat. As you can see. Where's the other one? Let's do it with this one. You can cut it all the way through. Ta-dam! Should have had one made, shouldn't I? There we go. Ta-dam. And the knot stays in the middle. Close it and you can tie your book. There we go. I also want to show you something else. Oops. Folding books is a good idea, but remember with the folds that you have and make, you can also make greeting cards. So they can be very simple, they can be very could be a book, could be a greeting card. These, of course, would be decorated. You can keep them as pockets with double-faced tape and use them that way. You can put pieces across them, decorate them, but they become very interesting pieces too. Look at how much fun you could have with this. Just saying different kinds of things. For your birthday preview. So don't think you can just make books. You can make cards and have all kinds of fun with folding. I hope you've enjoyed seeing books and making a book. I hope you will be able to do that. The library has a wonderful selection of how to make books. Investigate it, take the books out, try them, enjoy. Thank you.
So Bonnie, I don't know if was anything in particular that you wanted to say in addition about the project? I know we also have a couple of questions in the chat. Someone is asking, I believe this is about the sewn books. What kind of thread and glue do you use when you're making those books, or maybe in general?
I use PVA, which is a glue made for bookmakers. It is, I can't say slow drying, but it has a little bit of, doesn't bleed through your paper, and it holds the book very nicely, very tight. If I'm doing what I call an expensive project or a complicated project, I'll do a mock-up and I'll use stick glue. And that way I know that if I have to take it apart or whatever, that I can do that easily with stick glue, but it isn't lasting. And if you want a book to last, use the PVA.
Okay, great. And they were also asking about the thread, which is why I thought perhaps that referred to the sewn books.
Yeah, I use bookbinder's thread, and I ordered that through various book people, and Blick in Wheaton in Dunedin has a very small selection of thread over there, but so I will buy it from a book binder. John Neal is one of those people who has calligraphy supplies as well as bookmaking supplies. You saw me using a Teflon folder. It is also called a bone folder because it is made out of bone, and that ensures good creases rather than using your fingers, which can be greasy or messy because you've been using glue, or just because whatever paper you're using, the color might rub off on your fingers. So invest in that instead of a tablespoon.
Right. Right, thank you. And kind of speaking about bookbinding, someone has asked if there were particular books that you would recommend on bookbinding. I know that you gave me that nice bibliography about different kinds of books to make. And I remember when I looked on the shelves, there were books about bookbinding near those. So they would be right within that same collection. I don't know if you have a couple of favorites.
There are 3 books by Shireen LaPlante, and I think the library has 2 of them. One of them is very advanced. Hetty Kyle is, as I've said, is the leader in bookbinding. She has a new book out along with a co-writer, and the library has that book too. That is excellent too. So those are 2 books. And if you go on to Pinterest and look under bookbinding, you will find many bookbinders who will give you their workshops on Pinterest. Right now, I've discovered Nancy Eckerly, and she has boxes, and I enjoy making boxes too. She also has a book that is the Chinese thread book, and makes a series of 15 boxes that she has in one book. And I have just made a mock-up of that, and I'm about to start on a good piece of the thread book, the Chinese thread book, and make it with good paper and PVA glue instead of stick glue. So that's my project that I'm working on now.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you maybe what project you're coming up with. So you're working on a box. That sounds wonderful. Maybe sometime in the future we'll be able to see that. It is right about 8 o'clock. Oh wow! Look, so what are we looking at?
You're looking at the Chinese thread book, and this is 15 boxes.
Wow!
As a book, they didn't use spools of thread. They're like embroidery thread, flat. So that is why you get a flat book. So that's my project.
All right. Well, as we are wrapping up tonight, if anyone has any questions about that accordion book project that we did as a group, the video with the demonstration was very clear, and it was great that you went through it twice. But if anyone has any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. I don't see any additional questions, but we certainly want to thank Bonnie for all of her time putting this together, and the Book and Paper Art Guild, sorry about that. And so thank you so much for all of the time and effort that went into putting together the presentation. We are going to be sending out to everyone who has registered for the program Bonnie's email address so that you can contact her about the Guild, and if you have any additional questions for her. Also, we've mentioned a couple of times that bibliography of various books, some of which the library owns, as well as some others that you might be able to search out, and all of those will be sent to everyone who is registered for this program, so we already have those emails. If you are watching the recording of this program at a later date, you can email me to receive that list of resources at ce@wheatonlibrary.org. That's CE like community engagement at wheatonlibrary.org. So I think that's about it. Maybe just one more question, Bonnie. I'm wondering if you can tell us what's perhaps maybe a favorite book that you've made.
Last one is always the favorite.
Okay, all right. Well, and I think we all identified some favorites as we were watching. That one with the movie Kisses was so fun, and I loved the one that you did from your grandmother and all the developments and things that happened over her lifetime. That was fascinating and such a fun way to represent that. Well, thank you again to everyone who joined us, and especially to you, Bonnie, for showing us all of your lovely books and leading us in that project. With that, we will say good night. Everyone take care, stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you again soon.